I want to talk to you specifically about the upcoming Lunar New Year that's beginning on February 17th, and it ushers in the year of the fire horse. And we have not had this horse energy, this fire horse energy, since 1966. And we know what was happening in 1966. There was a lot of change. It was a time of great upheaval back in the 60s. And so the question really is, how do you respond to it? How do you learn how to ride that fire horse so that it works for you? Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Francis Faden, and I'm so grateful that we get to spend this time together helping you magnify your miracles. Are you ready for this upcoming year of the fire horse? There is a lot of intense energy that's coming. Next week, I'm going to be giving you my spiritual take on the energy of February and all the amazing energy that's going to be coming a little bit more from a spiritual perspective, looking at all the different feast days and what that has to do with you and preparing you for the Lenten season. But today, I want to talk to you specifically about the upcoming Lunar New Year that's beginning on February 17th, and it ushers in the year of the fire horse. We have not had this horse energy, this fire horse energy, since 1966. And we know what was happening in 1966. There was a lot of change. It was a time of great upheaval back in the 60s. And so the question really is, how do you respond to it? How do you learn how to ride that fire horse so that it works for you? So there's a couple of things I'm going to be sharing with you today, things that you want to pay attention to, some things you want to stop doing, some things you want to start doing, and most of all, which spiritual energy is the most helpful one for you in this powerful year of dramatic change. So before we get into all of that, let's take a few deep breaths together. Just to get ourselves grounded and centered. And it's one of the things you're going to want to do this year is have a way to ground yourself. And as we start to already feel that divine presence, knowing that whatever we need to hear is going to be exactly what we hear to move us powerfully forward, we're going to take one more deep breath together in gratitude, and we can begin. All right, my friends. So right off the bat, I'm just going to say I am not an expert on Chinese astrology. I am not an expert on astrology in general. I have been studying what I call psychological astrology since I was about 11 years old, helping me understand myself and understand other people. But I am nowhere near a professional astrologer. So I'm definitely not a professional Chinese astrologer. However, I will share with you that as I was feeling into this energy, so I was looking on the calendar and I noticed that the week that we have Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, I should say, that same week, there's so much powerful spiritual energy. It's almost like arrows pointing. And again, I'll talk to you more about that next week when I share with you the energy and the message for the month of February. But whenever I see those things, it catches my attention. So I had been praying and I had been asking and I've been saying, please guide me, help me understand this time. And I came across this amazing video of a woman who does know Chinese astrology and who really explained it. And everything that she said just started going bing, bing, bing. I started really going, this is exactly what I needed to hear. And I knew if I needed to hear it, you probably needed to hear it too. So first things first, February 17th this year, it's a Tuesday. And this is the day that we have the energy of the Lunar New Year. We're going into, so we're letting go of the energy of the snake and we're stepping into the year of the horse. And it's not just any horse. Of course, every 12 years we go through these cycles in Chinese astrology. It's not just any horse. The fire element is here. And the fire element is going to give it such a powerful boost of energy. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I wrote down some notes so that I could make sure the energy of this year is all about movement. It's about movement. So here's the thing. If you've been waiting to act on your dream, if you've been waiting to do the thing that you want to do, if you've been waiting for circumstances to be perfect or whatever it might be, waiting is the opposite energy of this year. So if you're kind of waiting, you're kind of hanging about, that horse is going to run right over you. The energy is going to run. But if you get into action now, that's why I wanted to release this before, way before the Chinese New Year, because I wanted to give you that heads up of like, yeah, we do the New Year's Day and all of that, but it's not, our New Year isn't really connected to anything cosmic. It's just a date on the calendar. But when we have seasonal changes and we combine it with the moon and the sun and all that, it gives it a lot more power. So I wanted to give you a heads up to say, if you've been waiting, stop waiting. Get yourself going, get yourself in motion, because the one thing that this year is going to be about is momentum. So if you're already starting, if you're already moving in a direction, the fire horse energy is it's like, think about like those wildfires that we've seen, right? It will go and it'll bring you, it'll carry you. Now, it's not going to carry for you. It's not going to do it for you. It'll do it through you. So this is you being able to ride the wave of this time period, right? So get out of waiting mode. That's my number one advice for you. Get out of waiting mode and start taking action, whether it's on your health or it's on your finances or it's on your what I call your miraculous life, whatever it might be that you've been wanting to do, stop waiting and start doing and start moving forward. So that's one thing it says. The other thing it said is that because the energy is really kind of intense, and we've already been seeing a lot of intensity this year, not just this year, but we're seeing a lot of intensity, the energy of caring for yourself. I know I talk about this. I know you probably hear this a lot, but the thing that was emphasized in this video that I wrote down was care is a necessity. Self-care is a necessity. It is not a luxury. Now you get to decide for you what that self-care is. You get to decide, is it, does it look like resting more? Does it look like going out and having fun more? Does it look like being more involved with friends and family? Like, I don't know what it is for you, but you get to decide what that is, and then you prioritize it. You prioritize it. So for me personally, my theme for this year, I wrote it down and I have it on a sticky note, is tend your joy. Tend to your joy. So my joy is already here. My job is to tend to it every day, water it, take care of it, and just let myself be in that energy of joy as often as I can. Even with everything that's going on in the world, I still have to do the thing that brings me a sense of joy. This is where I really connect in with, I feel like she's one of my spirit guides, is Anne Frank. And in the midst of such horrible energy, she did the thing that brought her joy, which was she wrote. That was her thing. That was her thing that really helped her. So what is that for you? What does care look like for you? And how can you really prioritize that? So along with that, you want to make sure that you're eating really good food. You want to make sure that you're getting rest, and you want to limit, if not eliminate, how much fear you consume. This line jumped out at me when I heard this. How much fear you consume. Now, think about that. So I often think to myself, okay, there's the fear that's in the news, and I talked about that, last week's episode. And that's definitely a factor. One of the things you can do is, if you want to stay informed, you can read the news instead of watching the news, because seeing it and taking it in with all of your senses can be really overpowering, and you can get in that energy so fast of fear and worry and all of that. So if you want to be informed, you can read it instead of watching it. That's one thing you can do. But think about this. How much fear do you consume? So are you somebody who likes really scary movies? I just always think to myself, in the land of movies, we can create anything that we want. Why do we keep creating movies about things we don't want to experience? Why do we keep creating movies about violence and war and horrible things? I mean, I get it. I get that people want to, make a point and all of that. But like, as entertainment, like, Why would we do that? So look to see how much fear are you consuming? And that could also be through conversations you're having with other people. Do you have a friend or a family member that like just gets you in that state constantly? So you just want to be mindful of that. That's one of the ones that really struck out at me. And then the other thing is during this time to have really strong connections with people, to be part of something. It's really important to be part of something. Now, I think it's really important to be part of a spiritual community of some kind. And if you don't belong to some kind of spiritual community, I highly encourage you to check it out. If you want to join the mentoring community that I have, let me put this up here for you so you can always join the Magnify Your Miracles, which is a mentoring membership. It's not just consuming, videos and stuff like that. You actually get mentored by me. You get mentored by Mother Mary. You can go to that, francisfaden.com/membership, if you want to be part of a community this year, which I think would be really, really good for you. And then the other thing that this person said that I thought was so helpful was rather than sharing your opinion about things, oh, I think this is terrible. Oh, I think this is great. Like opinions, share the skills that you have. Share the skills that you have. How are you coping with things? What are you doing that's working for you? How do you tend to your joy? What is it that you're doing? So I really thought about this and I'm like, this is such a really, really good point because it's so easy to go on social media and just complain and just, say whatever it is that you're going to say and, get in that energy of opinions. But the thing I've learned is opinion. It's one thing to inform. St. Bernadette says, I'm not here to convince, I'm here to inform, right? It's one thing to inform, to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I know, here's some resources for you. But to be on there and just be like, I think this is great, I think this is horrible, like opinion, opinion, opinion. That is just, it's our ego that's talking. It's not your own higher self. But when you share a resource, this is what I'm trying to do. Here's a prayer that works for me. Here's a video I watched that helped me relax my nervous system. Here's what I'm doing to tend to my joy today. And then doing what I know to do, which I talked about this last week. Like we follow the path of Mary Magdalene. Like even when the worst thing happened, what did she do? She showed up to do what she could do. She couldn't do everything. And she probably felt like she couldn't do anything. But she said, what could I do? What can I do? Okay. So she showed up to do what she could do. Now, there are a lot of places that are doing things that you can participate in, whether it's for you personally or helping your community or whatever it might be. So I'm not sitting here trying to give you a list of things to do. I'm sitting here and saying, in this time of great intense change, it's really important to connect with other people and to connect in with an energy that knows how to work with fiery spiritual energy. And that's the last piece that I wanted to talk to you about. Fiery spirit. This is the thing that got my ears perked up. Fiery spiritual energy. So the fire horse, it's a fast moving energy. There's gonna be, the word passion comes up a lot. And passion can be used in a positive way, like we feel passionate about something. And passion can also be something that shows up in a negative way, like we have crimes of passion, right? People not able to restrain themselves and then doing things from that place of passion that has gone. And when I say passion, I'm talking just intense feeling. I'm not talking about like between romantic people. I'm saying when people feel a lot of emotion, they feel right, they feel justified, or whatever it might be. We're seeing this right now happening here in my own country, where people who are in positions of authority don't know how to restrain themselves. They don't know how to do that, or they're unwilling to do that. And so that's that fiery energy showing up in a really negative way. That's my opinion. That's my take on it. So here's the last piece I'm going to share with you. The fire horse brings speed, passion, and intensity. Speed, passion, and intensity. So think about that horse riding across the plain, right? You see that beautiful horse, and it's a fire horse. So there's like flames coming off this mythical being, right? So it's bringing with it speed. Everything is going to be faster, faster, faster. speed, passion, emotional energy, and intensity. Now, this is the truth. If you don't have grounded, a grounded spiritual container, and you know if you have one or not, if you don't have a grounded spiritual container, this is where the danger of this year is burnout. The danger of this year is putting yourself, like trying to go so fast in so many different directions and not being clear of what's for you to do. So here's what I'm recommending that you do. If you don't already have a grounded spiritual container, I recommend that you consider joining Mary Magdalene's Inner Circle mentoring program. You can go to francisfaden.com/Magdalene and consider letting this be the thing that is your container for this year. Well, for the first 6 months of this year anyway. In this message and mentoring program, you will be guided by Mary Magdalene herself. You will be getting messages from her, and you can actually create this to be anything you want. So if you're wanting guidance about how to harness this fire horse energy for your creativity, you can do that. If you want it for your spiritual growth, how can I have the most spiritual growth in this year? You can do that. If you want it to be around your success in your life, you can do that. You can create it any way you want it. You can create it any way that you want it. So that's what I would do. And that is what I'm personally going to do, is I'm hanging out with Mary Magdalene because Mary Magdalene knows how to be in that energy. Whenever I see her, she manifests, and she's always in this deep, deep red color. And I'm like, oh, there she is. That's Mary Magdalene. It's one of the ways I can tell the difference between her energy and Mother Mary's energy. They feel really different. They feel similar, but they feel also really different. Mary Magdalene's got that fiery energy. Saint Hildegard of Bingen is another one who also has that fire energy. Spiritual fire energy is another word for Holy Spirit. Spiritual fire energy is another word for Holy Spirit. That energy is alive within you. That energy is alive within you. It is the spark of the divine that is within you, right? And so learning how to work with it, learning from who? The woman who achieved such spiritual heights and was so powerful and so impactful that the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the first 3 to 6 pages, is ripped out. Ripped out. There's only 3 copies of this book that have been found, and in each one, those pages were ripped out. What is it that Mary Magdalene knows that they didn't want us to know? What is it that Mary Magdalene embodied that they're afraid that women are going to embody, right? Well, we'll never know what's in those pages necessarily, but you get to decide what do you want to be in those pages? How would you love to be guided by Saint Mary Magdalene in this time of the year of the fire horse? So remember, stop waiting. If you're in waiting mode, you're going in the opposite direction of this energy. If you think about it, I think about this time in the 60s, and I think about 1966. It's kind of right in the middle. The year before, we had The Sound of Music, the Beatles, 1964. But after 1966, the 60s look really different, right? So before then, we kind of still had a little bit of the 50s energy. It was this kind of a time of change, but and then after that, things got really, really different. And Vietnam War protesting became really intense. And then unfortunately, what did we have? In 68, we had assassinations. I mean, the energy was really, really shifting because people were saying, this is not okay. And women were stepping into their power. We had a lot of social change that's going on. So all those things that are happening out there, you may or may not be able to do anything about, but you can do something about what's happening within you. You get to decide, how do I want this fire horse energy to come into my life? How am I going to welcome it? It's going to be here one way or the other. It's going to speed things up, and it's going to bring an energy of momentum. And so that's why I'm saying to you, if you haven't started your book, start your book. If you haven't started your podcast, start your podcast. If you haven't started your business, start your business. If you haven't started a family and you want to start a family, Start making that happen now. Like whatever it is that you're really wanting, whatever that heart's desire, whatever your miraculous life would be, don't wait. Waiting is the opposite energy. Get going, take action, and then you will build momentum. So, what can you do? 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day to move towards your goal, to move towards your, like I say, going from a good life to a miraculous life. What would that be for you? And start doing that now. And remember that self care is underneath all of it. Self care is underneath all of it. And you get to decide what that self care is. So, my friend, I'll invite you one more time. Um, Here we go. If you would like to come and join me in Mary Magdalene's inner circle, that would be lovely. I'd love to have you join us. francisfaden.com/Magdalene. And if not, that's okay. But I want you to seek out something. I want you to seek out some spiritual friends, some support, some community, something that you can feel a part of that's going to encourage you and support you in taking really good care of yourself. Really good care of yourself, because that's the energy. All right, my friend. Remember, as always, your miracle is already here. You know how I know that? Because the universe loves you so much. How could it be otherwise? Your miracle exists in the field of miracles known as the quantum field. It's already there. How do I know that? Because the universe loves you, because you came from that field and you're going to go back to that field. And while we're here to manifest things from that field and bring them to fruition. And your miracle is one of those things. If you know anybody who would appreciate this message, please share this with your friends, your family, share it on social media, whatever works for you. I so appreciate that. And if you have any thoughts about it you want to share with me, just go ahead and leave them in the comments. And I'm so happy to answer your comments. All right, my friend, God bless you. I love you so much. We'll see you next time. Remember, next time, I'll be telling you about all the spiritual aspects that are happening in that very powerful week. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, my miraculous friend, thank you so much for watching. If you want to be the first one to know when new videos are released, just click the subscribe button. And if you click the notify me button, you'll be the first one to know, especially if I go live. Thank you once again, and I'm sending you all my love and blessings.